Auspicious blessings to all. Last session, we covered in brevity the prescriptive aspects of Shila and how they work to align with inner goodness, and how preclusive precepts are preventative measures that bodhisattvas take to avoid harm upon oneself and other. We also talked about how our actions, whether good or bad, wholesome or unwholesome, they create ripple effects that ultimately changes the course of life for both self and other. This session, we will focus on discussing the art of giving and generosity. Our understanding and practice of giving and generosity can be likened to the Buddhist metaphors of 3 birds in the sky or 3 animals crossing the river. The truth represented by the vast sky and the river remains the same, while the distance or depth that is perceived is very different depending on each animal. As humans, we all give. It's part of our nature to give and receive. But there is an art to this. If we can give with the correct mindset, then ordinary and mundane actions transform into life-changing spiritual outcomes, and giving becomes effortless. We soon learn that by giving the best of ourselves to others, we truly realize the ultimate goal of Shila, and that is to return to the inner purity and clarity of our Buddha potential. In relation to Shila, giving and generosity works at 2 levels. First of all, the act of giving is considered a wholesome karma. So by engaging in wholesome karma, we are sure that we will have good results in this lifetime and also in the next lifetime or future lifetimes. And that in the process of giving and being generous, we are forming good affinities with others. So this is 2 ways in which the act of giving and generosity has immediate effects. At the second level, it purifies our minds as we give with a selfless mind. And when we reduce this ego of ours, then of course delusion is reduced. When delusion is reduced, then the mind becomes pure and clear. So this is the second level of how giving is able to purify our minds and benefit ourselves. So as paradoxical as it may seem, to give the best of ourselves wholly to others and in service to others, we are benefiting ourselves more than anything. According to the Diamond Sutra, the practice of generosity requires that the 3 aspects of giving, the giver, the receiver, and the gift, are abiding in emptiness. So what this means is we should not give rise to discrimination and attachment to any of these 3 aspects as we perform acts of generosity. In other words, the giver should not be self-attached and think, I, myself, are capable of giving or am capable of giving. Moreover, one neither thinks of the receiver as accepting one's favor, nor is attached to the given object and its value. Such generosity, if attached to these notions, would only be mundane generosity and does not accord with the Buddha-Dharma. When one is able to see the inherent oneness of giver and receiver and gift, true selfless giving is possible. So when we contemplate on life, there are many situations where we try to give things away. But when we are attached to the notion of me giving someone else something, then we give rise to a sense of losing something because I am giving you something. And more so, we start getting a little bit more calculative. So this time I gave you that. Okay, next time you have to give me this. So this cycle of being attached to either the gift, okay, the giving and the receiving actually limits the wholeness and the fullness and the vast expanse of happiness that giving can afford us. According to Buddhist sutras, there are many ways to give, but there are three main ones. The first one is to give monetary or material offerings. And this is the case when people are lacking material comforts, or when people need some money to get by. And monetary and material offerings are not just limited to money and objects. It could be offering people accommodation. It could be offering people basic needs when they need it, and so forth. So this category is quite broad. It's anything that alleviates the sufferings of others as we give what we have and what we can give to others. And then secondly, it is the giving of the Dharma. So this is when we share words of Dharma or words of truth to others, with the hopes of inspiring them to live better and to transcend their issues and problems of life. And this is a very important type of giving, because we are actually leading the horse to the river and teaching it how to drink, rather than just giving it water and it'll never be able to learn the way to look after itself and sustain itself. Thirdly is to give fearlessness. So this is a very interesting point. You may think, how can you give fearlessness? Well, from the Buddhist perspective, when we give spiritual support and strength to ease the fear in others when they have it, this is the way that we give fearlessness to others. It may mean giving people words of encouragement when they feel low. It can mean helping them transcend an obstacle in life. So just say someone has a fear of public speaking, then to be able to slowly instill a sense of confidence in this person by scaffolding his learning or her learning, by slowly finding ways of allowing this person to have the opportunity to express him or herself in front of others, slowly by slowly working to diminish the fear in this person, then we are giving fearlessness. So from this, we can see that there are so many instances in life that we can give fearlessness to others. It's all about leading people out of fear with all the myriad expedient means at our disposal. So these three kinds of generosity hones one's spiritual practice and can consequently benefit others as well as ourselves. So just as there are correct ways of giving, there are also incorrect ways of giving. So incorrect ways of giving entails having the thought of reward or fame or reputation or the accumulation of merit in Buddhist terms as we give. So we give for a particular reason. Okay? We just need to look at life, and we see so many people around us who give because they want to have a good name to themselves. They want to be able to build their reputation and so forth. So this is not done with the right intentions. So this brings us to the story of the Chan master and a devotee who donated 100 taels of gold. There was once a Chan master who was such a great expounder of the Dharma that every time he spoke the Dharma, there would be a very large crowd who would be tightly packed into his Buddha hall to a point where they could barely move. So finally someone from the audience suggested that a new wing be added to the temple to allow for a more spacious lecture hall. Upon hearing this, one devotee filled a bag with 100 taels of gold and brought it to the temple to give it to the Chan master, explaining that this donation was to fund the building of the addition to the building. So the master had received this bag of gold and then quickly busied himself with other matters. And the devotee was quite displeased by the Chan master's attitude. And he thought to himself, hey, 100 taels of gold is no small amount. How could master receive such a large donation and not even bother to say a single word of thanks? So the devotee followed the master, dropped a little hint, hey master, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. you know there is 100 taels of gold in that bag I gave you. And then the chant master coolly responded, yeah, you already told me. I'm aware. The devotee got even more angry and said, hey, I donated 100 taels of gold today. At this point, the chant master just reached the main shrine and stopped and replied to this arrogant devotee. If you would like to treat donating money to the Buddhas like some sort of business deal, then on behalf of the Buddhas, I can offer a word of thanks for this transaction. Now consider the account between you and them settled. So what this means is when we give, and if we're attached to the notion of giving, and if we expect a type of response or reward, whether it's praise, whether it's, a different type of reimbursement, not monetarily, but probably in terms of recognition, then of course our minds are limited by this attachment. It's like a business deal. So although we give and we do make a difference to others, but spiritually on our path of purifying the mind and working towards true happiness, we're actually not making much progress. And also if we give too much to the point where we're afflicted, just say you only have $100 for the week, and then $100 is only enough to get by, and then you give $50 away, and what happens? You're going to struggle for half of the week, and you'll be afflicted, and you'll regret this donation of $50 to others. This is also not the proper way of giving because it brings suffering on yourself. So it doesn't really make sense. So true giving from a Buddhist point of view is where we give with the right mindset. There is a quote from Buddhist Sutras: wish for all beings to be relieved of suffering without seeking peace and happiness for oneself. So this is the teaching that describes the highest state of generosity and giving. In the Diamond Sutra, the Buddha uses the vastness of space as a metaphor for the merit of giving. Since karmic effects are related to karmic causes, we should ensure that we give with a mind that is also as open and genuine as space. And when there is no favoritism or partiality, the positive karmic effects is as vast and extraordinary as space itself. The more we give the best of ourselves to others, the more peaceful and happier we become. In this way, giving to others is the same as giving to oneself. It's a win-win situation. We may wish to see the benefits of giving from a scientific point of view, which shares many parallels with the idea of wholesome karma of action and deed, which produces internal outcomes as well as external outcomes. In recent decades, a growing body of research has revealed that giving to others produces numerous psychological and physiological benefits. For most people, money buys happiness, but rather than buying more for oneself, research shows that by giving wealth away to others, such as organizations we care about, is likely to make one happier. So giving not only benefits others, but it also benefits oneself in immeasurable ways. So basically, research shows that when we give, and we give for a purpose which is meaningful, not only are we benefiting others, ourselves, it can actually potentially extend one's life. So from this we see that there are also physiological benefits of giving. So researchers ran a study which handed $5 or $20 to respondents and told them to spend it on either themselves or on someone else. And the researchers checked back with the subjects later that evening to assess how they were doing emotionally. Over the course of the day, those who offered money to others reported feeling happier. And furthermore, there was no emotional difference between those people who received $5 and those who received $20 to give away. So the amount of the gift that we give to others is not the important point. The whole idea is taking the opportunity of this action of giving to spiritually enhance ourselves. Well, obviously we don't aim to do that. It's a natural process. So when we give to others, the amount doesn't really matter. It's the mindset, it's the intentions that really make a difference. Furthermore, giving may also lessen depression. According to this research, focusing on the self makes it very difficult to reduce depression because giving moves the focus away from one's own needs to another. And then, of course, as we slowly move our focus from ourselves to others, we give rise to a sense of altruism. And this, for some reason, scientifically allows us to be more happier. So volunteers are less likely to be depressed, according to studies. And engaging in compassionate acts can have long-term depression-reducing effects. Giving appears to also have universal advantages. After controlling income and other variables, a 2013 study found a favorable association between giving and happiness in 120 of 136 nations. In the majority of the countries, the link was strong. And more so, the advantages were evident even amongst those who were financially challenged. Certain scientists also see this innate willingness to give as a hardwired evolutionary trait that human beings have in the quest to seek social acceptance, which translates to protection and safety when we are banded together. So even from our own lived experiences, we know firsthand that giving results in friendships and strong affinities with those we cross paths with life. And from this, we see that giving has immediate positive outcomes and is celebrated as an important aspect of the practice of Shila. In further honing the skill of giving, Venerable Master Xing Yun proposes the 4 givings for everyday life. Such practices call for the practitioner to actively observe the emotional and spiritual needs of others and give what is necessary to elevate others. To give others faith, joy, hope, and convenience, as advocated by the Master, puts others before oneself and treats others as oneself. To give others faith, we say that we give people confidence in oneself. And this is very important, especially in an age where everything is about competitiveness. So it is mentioned in the Avantasaka Sutra that faith is the mother of all merits, which nurtures all roots of virtue. Faith is the source of strength. It is the bedrock of progress and development. And even in the face of adversity, when one has faith, one can overcome. We seek ways to boost the confidence of others. And as when we feel good about ourselves, when others feel good about themselves, then they'll be happy, they'll be healthy, and they'll have self-confidence. So giving people faith is a very important way of generosity. Back in the Buddha's time, there was a disciple by the name of Malgoyayana. He was actually the foremost in supernatural powers. And he reached out to a prostitute as part of his commitment not to forsake beings, and taught her ways of life which was very different from her bitter life that she had, and inspired her to renounce this life and enter the monastic path of practice. And this instilled immense optimism in this former prostitute, and it showed her the potentiality that she had innately and allowed her to express that. So giving others faith is a very important thing to do. One day, there was a chess master who was unbeatable. And because he was unbeatable, he had erected a plaque outside his house stating that he was the unbeatable chess master. So a minister who was headed to war passed by and saw this plaque and thought, hey, this guy couldn't be as good as me. I'm a warrior in my country. I know how to fight wars. So let me challenge myself to this chess master. So this minister sat down and had 3 sessions of chess with this chess master. And on 3 occasions, the minister actually beat this chess master. And this minister was actually quite arrogant and thought, okay, I beat you 3 times. I order you to take down that plaque that you're unbeatable because I beat you. So this minister hurriedly continues to the front lines to engage in warfare. And then upon returning, he passed by the chess master's house again and realized that the plaque was still there. So he was a bit angered, and then he approached this chess master and said, didn't I tell you to take down that plaque? I beat you 3 times. And then at this time, the chess master was like, let's have another 3 rounds and see who's the winner. So after 3 rounds, the chess master pretty much annihilated the minister in every round. And then the minister said, whoa, you're so good, but how come I beat you before? And then the chess master replied, before you were heading to war, I did not want to dishearten you. Otherwise, it may affect the way you perform on the battlefield. But now that you have returned victorious, there is no need for me to hold back. So in life, there are many situations where we can give people faith by inspiring them to see their own potential and to, even with expedient means, design ways to allow people to have confidence in themselves. So more importantly, in an increasingly challenging world we live in, being unconditionally kind to others inspires them to restore faith in humanity, and ultimately to inspire people to develop faith in the truth of the universe. That is, to understand the law of causal existence. We have offered the best gift. And equipped with faith in such an understanding, one is empowered to take charge of one's life by being mindful of one's actions in every present moment. And this is the true meaning of giving others faith. To give others hope means that in our everyday lives, there are many occasions to offer others hope, especially when suffering is present. The Venerable Master reminds that offering hope is the highest act of benevolence, while to disappoint and render others hopeless is the cruelest act of humanity. So, as we give to others, it needs to be based on compassion, yet steered and informed by insightful wisdom. In setting out to help others, we should also see that all beings are equals and not be condescending, while also being receptive to the needs and feelings of others. And it is also important to address the underlying causes which call for our offering of hope. As the saying goes, give a man a carrot and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to grow carrots and you feed him for a lifetime. As such, the best gift of hope is that of the Dharma, as it offers one an internal refuge of hope. One of Buddha's foremost disciples, Purna, was the best at teaching the Buddha-Dharma. And this story of Purna illustrates this importance of giving people hope. Purna is remembered for his boundless teaching and his compassion. While he preaches, he often found himself traveling to perilous lands where people needed him most, and even if it meant risking his life, he had no hesitation to find himself in barbaric lands. This is because Purna could not bear to see the suffering of others. On one occasion, after seeking permission from the Buddha, he left the Shanga and went to Sudana, a desolate place, a poor country, with citizens who were violent and unrelenting. With great resolve, Purna learnt the native dialects of Sudana so that he could communicate with its people. However, even after having gone to such extents, the natives were still wary of him for being a foreigner. Purna understood it was very difficult to inspire the natives to develop faith in the Buddha-Dharma, as the local cultures and belief systems were starkly a contrast to that of Buddhism. So Purna realized that it was imperative for him to first improve their living standards if he were to show them a way out of suffering, so that he started treating those who were sick. And after a while, Purna worked on their literacy and taught them the ways of farming and home economics. At nighttime, he talked about the 5 precepts, the law of cause and effect, and slowly but inevitably, the natives took refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, changed their ways, and lived a life free of suffering. From this story, we see Purna's immeasurable and selfless compassion. He did not choose who he helped, and no matter how difficult the situation, he remained patient and persistent. He also gave hope to others by showing the citizens the way out of their uncivilized darkness by empowering them to live well. So most importantly, he taught them the Dharma, the ultimate source of sustained hope. In our daily lives, it is inevitable that we meet people who are going through the trials and tribulations of life. And because of this, they are having a lot of suffering. And during times like this, it is crucial to be mindful of the situation and to offer hope in an empathetic and inspiring manner. So apart from assisting with the practicalities of life and guiding others to see the impermanence of their situation, it's perhaps the most effective way to inspire hope, as when one sees the fluid nature of suffering, one will see the light at the end of the tunnel. Sharing joy with others is not only a virtue, it is also a delightful experience. When someone sets out to do virtuous deeds, words of encouragement may go a long way. More so, supporting them in their cause is also a way to add to the joyous deeds. The true meaning of giving others joy, based on a mind of appreciative joy, is to acknowledge and support their deeds, which encourages them to be even more selfless. This is because true Dharma joy is only found when one gives the best of themselves to others. The joy of selflessness can spread like wildfire. We frequently come across news of generous people engaging in a benevolent act and receiving the praise and support of the public. In response to the plight of people self-isolating during the coronavirus pandemic in the UK, Becky Walsh, a copywriter from Cornwall, came up with the idea of creating shareable postcards stating, "Hello, if you are self-isolating, I can help." That allowed people to offer help to their elderly or vulnerable neighbors. And ever since, the cards have been printed and shared all over the world, allowing joy to spread throughout. As such, in a world of pluralities and vested interests, giving others joy based on appreciative joy is perhaps the fastest way to achieve the utopian ideal of a peaceful society. To offer others convenience means to truly practice with equanimity. By seeing that all sentient beings are equal, it means that we do our very, very best to allow all beings to be free of suffering. So there are 2 aspects to this. First of all, in terms of equity, we allow all people to have all the types of opportunities to develop oneself so that they are able to stand on their own 2 feet. So it means providing education to the disadvantaged. It means funding scholarships for those who need it, for those who are dying to be educated but do not have the means to do so. So from this perspective, we're making the access to education to basic needs equal across the board. And it also means having to adjust the way we give to others to make sure that this access remains with equity. And then with equality, it also means that everything that is offered in a way that there is no individualism, there's no personal vested interest, but we only give for the ultimate good of the community. So when we add these two aspects of generosity to others, then we are truly giving convenience. And when we give convenience to others, we are truly realizing the utopian ideal of equanimity in society. And as we all know, poverty is one of humanity's greatest problems. If we can at least try our very best to balance this inequality and inequity, then there will be no more violence, there will be no more stealing, because if everyone has all they need to get by happily, there is no need to steal from others, there's no need to hurt others in the quest for meeting the basic needs of humanity and people. Giving may seem to be an act that benefits others, but it actually benefits the self more. So long as one strives to do good deeds for others with a kind and compassionate mind, giving people faith, joy, hope, and convenience, these are the causes and conditions that bring happiness and wholesomeness to life. Even a simple smile, one is able to bridge wholesome connections with others so that we are able to help them. Moreover, it also allows us to be unhindered in communication with others. So through cultivating the act of giving, life will surely be filled with joy and hope, and one will have many wholesome causes and conditions towards our path of the perfection of our nature, which is Buddhahood. As we give the best of ourselves to others, we are actually receiving blessings manifold in return, however paradoxical that may seem from the outset. When one further hones the art of giving and does so with a selfless mind, then one has truly realized the ultimate goal of Shila, and that is to align to one's inner purity and clarity. So I invite everyone to go ahead and be brave and be generous as selflessly as possible, and to experience firsthand the spiritual changes that you'll discover as we give the best of ourselves to others without reservation. In the meantime, please take care, stay safe, and I'll see you next week. Auspicious blessings.